Hi, so this video is meant to help anyone getting started with WordPress set up a WordPress website and get familiar with the basics of the software. Right now I'm on a dedicated server and I'm going to set up WordPress on a subdomain. For someone working with something like GoDaddy or Bluehost, the setup and the installation process might be a little bit different, so feel free to reach out to me or ask any questions regarding your specific installation process if it is a little bit different and you're having trouble figuring it out. But for the purposes of this video, I'm going to get started. First thing I'm going to do is set up a subdomain, which I'm going to do right now. So I'm just going to do WordPress as the subdomain. Now I'm going to click on WordPress as one of the scripts that I'm going to install. See, the current version is 3.8.1. The versions change obviously every so often. So I'm going to go down, choose wordpress.trellisstaging.com. You're going to want to choose the correct domain, or that the domain that you've chosen or you've purchased, or subdomain, whichever site you want to actually install your WordPress onto. In the directory, you're probably going to want to leave this blank. Leaving this blank means that WordPress will be installed directly onto wordpress.trellisstaging.com without any /wp in front of it as the default has set up. Most cases you're probably going to want to leave this blank, so it just goes directly to the domain that you've chosen to install WordPress with. Database name just needs to be unique. That can be something that you choose. It could be something that's more specific to what you're doing. It doesn't have to be WP19. Table prefix, I like WP underscore. I'm just familiar with it, and I know that it's WordPress files when I see that, so I usually leave that as it is, but that's something you can also choose to change if you like. This is something that can be changed in the WordPress admin once you've installed WordPress, so I'm going to leave this as it is because I can change that later on. That's the same with this as well, but I'm still going to... Actually, you know what? I'm going to leave this the way it is now just because this is a test, so this is going to get deleted after I finish this video. But you're going to want to set up a username and password that's secure and something maybe that you're familiar with, so it's easy to remember. But you definitely want to make sure your password and username is secure. WordPress is used very heavily on the internet, so if you have an easy username and password to guess, something like this, with a website that you actually are going to use, not a test version like I'm doing right now, that's something that you're absolutely going to want to make sure is secure. So please be very careful with the username and password that you choose. So now I'm going to go ahead and install. Language is English. Limit login attempts. I'm not going to go ahead with that. So now it's going to install. It's usually fairly quick, and it was successful. So of course you'll get an error if it's not successful. But if it is, you'll get a message similar to this. And now you can see the new installation of WordPress on the subdomain right here, and now I can log in. I'm going to go ahead and log in just so I can quickly show you how to maneuver around with WordPress. So I'm going to try and follow the blog post that I wrote out of the steps that you're going to want to follow. It doesn't have to be exactly these steps. These are just some of the steps that I like to take just because I'm familiar with them and it seems to make the most sense to me as far as setting up your site. So I like to set up the permalink structure first so that when I'm adding new pages they have a good SEO site architecture and link structure. So most cases you might want to do like post name or custom structure. Post name's pretty straightforward. So I'm going to go ahead and click that one, and that way your page, when you create the page, the link will just mimic the name of the page. So I can go ahead and show you how that's done here. Actually, let me show you some more of the settings real quickly. General, as I talked about, you can change that. You don't really need to go ahead and change that when you install it. It's something you can change later. So I'm just gonna call this Isaiah's WordPress blog, the best blog on internet. And the site title and tagline may change, especially if you use something like Yoast SEO plugin. So you may want to use this if you're just going with this standard WordPress installation, but if you start installing like SEO plugins like the Yoast plugin, it's going to change things as far as like page titles. So you'll see how the default installation, you have the site title and then the tagline follows it. So with the Yoast plugin and other plugins, you are able to change your site title without doing it through this general settings. So the next thing I'm going to want to do is go and start creating some pages. So this is where you're going to start setting up your website. So I'm going to just go ahead and change the sample page to the home page and delete any of that text. Home. There's some text for the home page. So then you can choose your template. You'll see you have contributor page, full width page, and default template are the default settings with this current version of WordPress. I'm going to go with like a full width page. You might want to do something like that for the home page. If you have a theme, you're probably going to have more template page options built into the theme. So I'm going to update that page. Now I'm going to go ahead and add a new page. I'm just going to create kind of some standard pages that you would see on most websites. The About page. I'm going to also go with the full width template. And it's not going to have a parents because the pages that I'm going to create, I'm probably just going to create 5 top level pages that you would see in your standard menu of a website. So you're not going to see any pages here that are going to have parents. So then do services, and this is where your content's going to go. So you see this editor here. This is the visual editor. I can bold this content, and then you can click text, and you get to see some of the HTML code behind that. So you can switch back and forth between the visual and the text. One of the things that you'll notice with WordPress is the visual editors. It's pretty user-friendly, easy to use. You can add media right here, select a file, and upload an image, which is pretty straightforward. One of the things you'll notice, though, is that sometimes the visual doesn't completely match up with what you see is what you get. As you've probably noticed from many WYSIWYGs, if you've used one before, it doesn't always match up the way you want it to. So you may need to go into the text, into the actual HTML code, and either through inline styling or an external style sheet, wherever it needs to be, you may need to do some custom coding to get the content to look exactly the way you want it. So that's just a brief overview of the WYSIWYG on WordPress. So now I'm going to go ahead and publish that page. You're probably going to have maybe a products page. I'm not even going to bother with content for that. So let me go ahead and add another page. So I did home, about. So contact page is probably another standard page you're going to have. So I just have home, about, products, services, and contact. I'm just going to stick with those traditional 5 pages that you'll see on most websites. The next thing I'm going to do is go into the appearance, and I'm going to set up the menu so that you can actually see these pages on the website menu. So main menu, you're going to have to name your menu, create menu, and I'm going to check off all of the pages. All right, there's the select all option, which is obviously a little bit quicker than what I did. And I'm going to start organizing the pages with a drag and drop software, which is really user friendly. It's pretty awesome how easy their drag and drop menu software is. And I'm going to go ahead and save the menu. They even have locations, so you can have the top menu that you'll see on most websites, and then the secondary menu is on the left sidebar, as it explains right there in the standard WordPress installation. You may find that some themes might have some custom menu options that are more sophisticated than this. I'm not going to go into something like that. I'm not going to go into any custom themes, but I can show you how to install a theme as I go further into this screencast. So now I'm going to just save this menu. Actually, that's probably the next thing I'm going to do before I show you. Let's make sure that this actually worked. So you see the menus there, and home is a page. I think I set all of these pages to full width pages. So yeah, there's doesn't look like much of a sidebar except for this sidebar that's already set up. And let me go into themes. Okay, so themes are essentially the look and feel of your site. They can come with certain features, and you'll notice that some themes are, better made than others. So you should definitely be careful about what theme you choose, because the theme is going to have a lot of influence on your WordPress site. So you definitely want to look into the theme that you're using and research the theme you're using for your website. So I'm going to go click Add New, and I'm going to actually upload a theme that I already have downloaded. So you can go to a site like themeforest.com and download a theme. And let me see if I can find this. Okay. So these aren't the actual themes I was looking for. Let me see if I can find it somewhere else. Okay, so this is the theme I was looking for. This is a foundation-based theme. So anyone that's familiar with Foundation or Bootstrap, it's a responsive CSS framework. It's more suited for someone with a somewhat of a programming background, or at least a HTML and CSS background. So if you're really trying to use WordPress for the ease of use and not really any programming involved, and you just want to set up a site without having to learn any of that, this theme might not be for you. But for the purposes of this video, I'm going to go ahead and install that. So the theme's installed successfully. I'm going to go and activate it, and now I can go visit the site with the new theme. So you can see how the theme's set up. It looks like I gotta set up the menu again. So you're probably gonna want to configure theme before you do something like a menu, because that's gonna reset everything when you do install a new theme. So that should be configured properly. Let's make sure that's working. So now you see the menu that I have set up here. So going back to the admin panel, going to customize the widgets. I'm going to actually get rid of all of the widgets. So I don't want this sidebar. Personally, for most sites, I don't like having this kind of sidebar unless it's the blog pages. So I'm going to go ahead and remove everything from the sidebar. But the way the widgets work is they're pretty cool. You can add all of your pages, sort by different elements of the pages. There's a custom menu you can add. These are just the default widgets that come with WordPress, and there's especially in some of the more advanced themes, you'll see different widgets and more sophisticated widgets in different areas that you may be able to add those widgets, like the home page and elements like that. So the default installation, you can really only mess with the sidebar and footer areas with the widgets, but certain themes you'll have more freedom over where you can install or use widgets. Okay, so I've covered all of that, and okay, one other quick thing that I would do is bulk actions edit. I would probably get rid of comments. In most cases, you're not going to want comments on any of the regular pages, so I'm going to go ahead and remove comments from all of these informational pages, so it's not going to allow any of that. Okay, oops. I think I need to update that. Yep. Okay, so let's make sure that worked. I'll click on the home page, and comments are now closed. So that's something you maybe want to edit out so it doesn't actually say that in the code. So I've gotten rid of comments. Now I'm going to go and set up the blog, which is obviously something most people are going to want to do when you have a WordPress site because of its convenience for blogging. So it doesn't really matter what template it's going to be. So publish the blog page, and now for, I believe it's reading, this is where you're going to set up the way your blog works. So the front page can display your latest post. That's the default installation of WordPress. So if you want your your website to just be a blog,